Yeah. Well, Waz, can you stick around for our SALT segment?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Well, look, I have a Charlie Kirk related SALT segment to talk about. But before I get to that, I will say, dude, I have been on 3 different shows talking about the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh. I went on Woke Bros this week to talk about it at length.
Yes.
And like the pressure, this drives me crazy. Like the pressure that I'm getting to post some empty picture of the Armenian flag, whatever, on social media is making me want to slip my wrists. Like, I don't do that. I don't.
You can't win with these people, Anna.
No, I don't. But that's the thing. I'm never going to win with them, and I don't care to win with them. I care about doing the right thing, and the right thing is to inform people about what's happening in that region of the world right now. That's my job. That's what I care about. That's where I have the most impact. Posting a random picture on social media in order to appease people in LA, Armenians in LA, like
pure.
Okay.
That's pure nationalism, and it's so destructive. Outside of like what's going on in the conflict, like this whole like the flag thumping is never no good comes from that. Like just unbridled
nothing
nationalism
comes from
like
it. That's the thing, Nando. Like, and by the way, I'm specifically citing this conflict because that's what I'm getting the most like shame for, because I'm not doing like the theater. They want me to engage in the theater. It has no impact. That's my problem with it. I don't care what the issue is. I don't care what the political movement is. I don't use my Instagram page to post political nonsense. I post pictures of my dog and my family and myself because that's what Instagram is. No one is going to like feel motivated to learn about what's happening in Nagorno-Karabakh because I'm posting a picture of the Armenian flag on my Instagram page. Why don't we just like bypass that whole process and just inform people about what's happening in Nagorno-Karabakh?
A couple of people hit me on social about Anna's appearance on the Woke Bros, which you guys can check out. She was phenomenal. And I just want to say this was in the minority of responses to Anna's appearance, like the vast minority. But people said Anna was very biased and only told one side of the story, which was the Armenian side. So basically, they accused you of being too staunchly and blindly Armenian leaning. Yeah. Secondly, I just want to say, as somebody who is who's gotten some exposure to Armenian nationalism, woo, Anna, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what they're doing in your mentions and that type of stuff. And, I would just encourage you to keep the main thing and be a serious person.
Yeah.
It's stupid to engage in that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think the point of doing what it is that you do and what we do, try to do on the Woke Bros, is sort of exposing people to stuff that they might not have already been exposed to or ordinarily just naturally gravitated towards learning about. And the fact of the matter is, if you're an Armenian, part of the Armenian diaspora in Los Angeles, you're already invested in this. You're already in tune with the conflict. You're already there. We're trying to get 100%. Other people who aren't there. So it's like this shit ain't for you.
But like you just mentioned something so important that I wanna emphasize and elaborate on a little more. Because all of the activism among Armenians in LA specifically is very insular, right? It's all like a giant echo chamber of like, I am a good, proper, moral Armenian because I am amongst my fellow Armenians who all agree with me that the Armenian genocide needs to be recognized. First of all, it absolutely does need to be recognized. But how do you win? Right? Like, let's talk strategy a little bit. Do you win by surrounding yourself with people who already agree with you, and then you do your yearly march, demanding recognition of the Armenian genocide? Or do you communicate with and build bonds with individuals who don't know much about the genocide, but more importantly, people who have been fed propaganda their entire lives meant to disinform people about the Armenian genocide? Look, people get angry because I work for a Turk, okay? But I would argue that I have been much more influential in pushing the Turkish CEO of the largest online news show to publicly acknowledge the Armenian genocide. That is powerful. And if nationalistic Los Angeles Armenians don't think so, that's on them. They have their strategy, which clearly hasn't gotten them far. I have my strategy. You need to win hearts and minds, and that's what I want to do. I'm not going to X out every Turkish person that in existence because they happen to be Turkish. What I want to do is persuade them with knowledge, with information, with evidence, with proof, but more importantly, with understanding. And so, again, I have my strategy. They have theirs. I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of rape and death threats after this video comes out. That's fine. I've dealt with it my entire life. But my point is, I just think that strategy is something that gets lost in the mix because everyone is so concerned with the theater and the symbolism and with the messaging that they're such great moral Armenians. No, like let's look past that for a second and think about what we can do to get more people on our side. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Man, Anna, I love you so much, dude. I don't know what else to say. So beautifully said and perfectly said. But, and again, in full disclosure, I've actually had some of these very conversations with, people who are in and around my life, who happen to be Armenian. And, I understand the passions and the feelings involved 100%. I can understand that. But at a certain point, a sort of irrationality creeps in about achieving certain ends. And I'm just like, guys, man, there's certain I guess, they want to put a sheen on certain things. It has to look right rather than being effective, like Anna just said, which, again, I'm not dissing people who want things to look a certain way. That's fine. We all have that sort of strain in us when it comes to certain things. But I think what Anna's talking about is if we want to carry this thing outside of the community, which, again, it has 100% approval rating here. We can move past it in the community. If we want to take it somewhere different, there needs to be a different approach and sort of a healthy respect for people having different perspectives and understandings of things. And, the best way to change hearts and minds is to effectively communicate. And I think going pure, moralistic and nationalistic, I don't know that people gravitate towards that sort of messaging. And that's all I'll say for that.
Yeah, total. If you come at people with this antagonistic tone, they're not going to listen to what you're they're not going to listen to the case that you're trying to make, right? And so I get it, because imagine knowing 1.5 million Armenians slaughtered in the Armenian genocide, and so many countries refuse to acknowledge it. That is infuriating, absolutely infuriating. And I understand the passion and the anger and the rage. I mean, I feel it right now just talking about it. But again, if you approach the conversation with otarner, right? Otar means people who aren't Armenian, with an antagonistic tone, they're just not going to be receptive to the case that you're trying to make. And you have to understand that when it comes to propaganda, the Turkish side has been incredibly effective. They just have. In Turkey, if you acknowledge the Armenian genocide as a Turk, you will be persecuted. You will face actual punishment by the government there. That's how serious the propaganda is. And so when you're dealing with a Turkish American, and they might come at you with the disinformation they were fed literally their entire lives about that, about the genocide, again, I've had these conversations where I didn't have the patience, I didn't have the understanding, and I immediately wanted to go to war, right? But I didn't win in any of those cases because I didn't persuade anyone, I didn't change anyone's mind. And really, if you want change at the very core of the situation, which is the Turkish government, you got to get the Turkish people on your side. And believe it or not, there are plenty of Turkish people who do acknowledge the genocide.
No, Anna, the Turks are all pure evil. They're all pure evil. Come on, we know this. We know this.
Well, I mean, if you want change on a governmental level, which is what you need in Turkey, you need to get the people on your side. And believe it or not, those people do exist, and there are people who can be persuaded and convinced. You think the people of Turkey love Erdogan? I mean, think about all those mass protests that happened and how many journalists were jailed as a result. Like, it's insane. We need to get those people on our side, and I don't know. I just think that's a more effective strategy, but I could be wrong. We'll see.
And, for me, this awakening that you're talking about, I had a similar awakening after 2016, because I just remember the entire Trump campaign in 2016, starting in 2015 and 2016, just banging my head against the wall. Like, people can't be falling for this. And like posting angry stuff on Facebook and getting into fights and people's comments on Facebook and all this other. And I went insane. I went crazy watching this happen in real time. And I just had to take after the monumental L, and after just the depression, the mini depression, I should say, that set in afterwards, I decided I'm not going to approach things that way anymore. I'm going to talk to people. Right? Like, people can disagree, and I want to hear what their arguments are, and I want to best present mine in such a way that they understand. And, I happen to be around a decent amount of, say, Republicans, right? And I'll say to them, like, I don't need to talk to you about Trump. I'm just like, look, if we can give $1.5 trillion to the biggest corporations, we can give to normal people, right? Like, for the simple reason of, what do we say to people that don't have any money generally in America? You're a piece of shit. You're a loser. You're a nothing. We don't say that to corporations when they run out of money and they mess up. So let's just treat people the way we treat these corporations. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess that is right. And that's it. You don't have to be like, what the fuck, Donald Trump is racist. And it's like, just have a conversation about what you actually want to open people's eyes to. I personally, I know for a fact, I went completely insane throughout the entire year of 2016 behind that campaign. And there's just a different way to be now.
Yeah, and also for your own mental sanity.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. I used to want to engage with family members and stuff who were just wrong on the issues, and it would blow up and turn into a huge fight. And now I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want to know if you're specifically a family member of mine, because I don't want it driving a wedge between people in my family. Like, it's not worth it, I
want to ask you about that, Anna, because this came up in a conversation that I was having with somebody after our episode. Why do you think it is that the Armenian community of LA is so right-wing leaning?
I'm not really sure. Look, as with any group of people, Armenians have political parties. One is further to the right. Dashnak is the name of that political party. Based on what I've heard, the majority of Armenian diaspora co-signed to that ideology. So that could be part of it. But I think there's also, think about it. These are people who come from a line of people who were forced out of their own country. And there's a lot of anger about that. And as a result, I think that, nationalism grows when you've been forced out of your motherland. So that would be my theory. And I just think part of the problem with the Armenian diaspora in Los Angeles, and I think it's starting to change a little bit, but certainly when I was a kid, when I was in grade school, it was horrible. It was awful because you're not allowed to think outside the box at all, not even a little bit. And I've always been the type that thinks outside the box. I'm not right wing. Many Armenians in LA are. Many of them support Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump is kneecap them over and over again on the issues that matter the most to them, like the Armenian genocide, like the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. Donald Trump's homies with Erdogan. That's why he's created this vacuum to allow Erdogan to work with the Azeris to, persecute and force out the ethnic Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh. And one other thing is the lack of knowledge about what's happening in politics today and even like the history of the genocide, how it went down. The people are offended by the name of the show I work on, The Young Turks, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with Turks. It has nothing to do with the Young Turks that eventually overthrew the Ottoman Empire, during the Armenian genocide. But if that name offends you because you think the Young Turks orchestrated the Armenian genocide, read about the history of the Young Turks. First of all, let me emphasize again, we are not in any way associated with Turkish people or those Young Turks, nothing like that. Rod Stewart had a popular song titled Young Turks because it means rebel. We're in America. We do a show out of America, so we have a name with a definition based in the our American context. But within the Young Turks, there was a faction that was far more right-wing, absolutely hated Armenians, the Committee of Union and Progress. That offshoot of the Young Turks pushed for and committed the Armenian genocide. But whatever, I'm talking about history. They don't care about history. What matters is it's the name of a show that offends them. And so as a result, I'm going to get rape and death threats on a regular basis for the rest of my life. Doesn't matter if they change the name of the show. Doesn't matter if I quit the Young Turks and work somewhere else for decades. This will always be the issue. This will be something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life because I thought outside the box as an Armenian American who was born and raised in America, hosting an American politics show.
Man, I can't relate because I'm just such a great Haitian. Every Haitian American in America would agree. It's crazy. I can't relate to you being such a horrible Armenian, Anna.
Well, I got to be myself at the end of the day. I guess if I'm horrible, that's fine. But one thing that I knew
you're never not going to be yourself. You're incapable of it. Yeah, you're incapable of not being yourself.
I'm trying to imagine. I'm trying to imagine middle school Anna Kasparian being like this crazy hippie liberal amongst a bunch of Armenians, and it's just killing me right now.